Hey, Coach, appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks, Allie.
We'll get started here with Chris Franklin and then Dave Zangaro.
Hey, afternoon, Nick. Now that
Hey,
you had some
Chris.
time, how you doing, man? Now that you had some time to look at the tape now, how would you assess the way that the tight ends played in replacing Dallas Goedert yesterday?
Obviously, Jack Stoll got the majority of the snaps. I think he had 55 or something like that. I think Tyree had 9 and maybe 17, 18 for Grant. And, I know that the production, obviously, in the pass game wasn't there, but I thought they did a nice job and did their jobs. We had a couple penalties there, by those two guys, by Grant and by Tyree, are plays that we would want back. But I really did believe that Jack, Jack is a dirty work guy, right? And he's kind of like of the tight ends. He's kind of like the Zach Pascal of the wide receivers. Like they might not stuff the stat sheet, but they're things that they're doing are helping us win the game and being productive. And I thought that Jack played an outstanding football game. Again, the reps will come for the other guys as the games go along, but I thought Jack was outstanding in his role yesterday, and I thought the other two guys did a nice job in their role, but Jack really stood out in my mind.
We'll go to Dave and then Rube.
Hey, Nick, on the Jalen touchdown at the end there, who came up with that wrinkle? And in general, how does that process play out when you put something on tape and you want to play off of it a little bit like that?
Yeah, it's obviously a group effort. We all are thinking through things together. My favorite meeting personally of the week is the low red zone, tight red zone meeting. It's a long meeting. It's a grind where you're thinking about plays that are really that you probably get about 5 to 7 of them, and that's a lot, right? But it's like the grimiest long meeting that we got of the week, and I always look forward to that so much, like because there's just so many things that can happen, and we know that when you get down there, man, you set me up for a good question here. I don't know if you knew about this meeting. Well, when you get down there, it's like, hey, these are 4-point plays, right? And so what I mean by that is like, hey, these plays, if you succeed at them, right, you score touchdowns. If you don't, you potentially kick field goals, or in that situation, we would have went for it on 4th down and hopefully scored after that. But these are 4-point plays, and so it's just such an important part of the meeting and an important part in the week. So it's a group effort of the runs and the passes that we come up with to go into that area, and it's a full, it's a full. Everybody's in there, right? Everybody's in there. Of the coaching staff and coming up with it. And, obviously our job is to put the players in a position to succeed and to get the ball to the players that we believe will help us succeed the most. And Jalen was on fire right then at that point and, made a great play to get in and the guys blocked their butts off. But so many different things can come up, in the red zone meeting, and you got to be ready for it. Just like you do in the 1st and 2nd down and 3rd down. But you got to be ready for anything to kind of come up there because there's a lot of different wrinkles and a lot of different things. The field shrinks. It's just one of my favorite meetings of the week, and our coaches have done a fantastic job of coming up with a plan there to get us in the end zone.
What day of the week is that?
That is Wednesday. Okay. It starts a little bit on Tuesday night. Some of the prep work of it goes on Tuesday night, but then Wednesday night. Man, it's a grind, and we all come out of there with our eyes wide open and like, hey, like that was a long meeting, but we know it's going to be worth it. Now shoot, if we can score from 30 yards out, we'll do that, right? And then I have to not use that plan, but like when stuff like that happens, it's so exciting because it's just the amount of time and the grind that it is. Man, I love that meeting. You might have to ask some of the other guys if they love that meeting because it can be a grind, and sometimes they come out like, shoot, we're about 3 plays there, but we spent about 3 or 4 hours into that meeting. But yeah,
is that meeting longer than that answer?
No, my answers usually outlast any meeting because I like to talk, as you guys know.
Hey, I wanted to ask you. Obviously, BG and Quez both had unfortunate BG and Quez had unfortunate plays in the fourth quarter last week or on Monday. And they both had big plays, obviously, in the fourth quarter yesterday. How good was that to see? What does that say about those guys that they were ready when the opportunity arose to kind of, I'm sure those other plays weren't on their minds, but redemption for both of them. How sweet was that?
It was so sweet. I love that. I love that this is such a great part of this game is that you get to win, lose, good play, bad play. You get to move on and play the next play. And I hate to get full, it's like life, right? And so you get to move on and play the next play no matter what. And all you can control is that next play. So whether you made a great play or made a bad play or whatever it is, all you can control is the next one. And to see what those guys, were able to do and come in there and make plays, right, speaks to who they are as people, who they are as players, that they're truly in the moment. Both those guys, truly in the moment. Quez had a big third down conversion. Obviously, he had the touchdown, but he had a big third down conversion too, where he had great ball security on that because he got whacked by EJ Speed, number 45 over there. He got whacked pretty good there and held on to the football. And then BG just has this knack of making plays in critical moments, as this entire city knows. And so, it's great that those guys made big time plays. Doesn't surprise me. And, just have that next play mentality. It speaks to who they are, again, like I said, as people and as players.
Go ahead, Tim, and then Zach.
Hey, Nick, can you give us some background into what went into getting Sue and Joseph ready on such short notice? The type of hours Rocker and Sue and Joseph put in, any anecdotes that stand out from the week?
Sure. It's just, they're obviously, you get there in that part of the week, it's a grind for everybody involved. And the time commitment obviously is, hey, whatever we got to do to get these guys involved. And Coach Rock did a great job of getting them the necessary materials and then teaching them it where they could understand it. And then again, it's just a full. I don't know if I have a great story for you or anything like that, but those guys worked their butts off to get it done. That's why they're true professionals. That's why they've done it at a very high level in this league for a long time. Because a lot of guys have talent, but you got to be able to put that talent to use on the field, and these guys can think through it, and they have the talent. They have the talent, and then they have the ability to process everything to put that talent to use. And their detail allowed their talent to shine. Their intelligence of the game of football allowed their talent to shine in the game. And so it's just a true team effort to do that. They got to work their butts off. Coach Rocker's got to coach his butt off. Gannon's got to do what they can do when they're in the game as far as the packages that we're calling. And so true team effort by the defensive staff, true team effort by the people in this building to get them here in timely fashion, right? How he goes through and does his magic and gets them, signed. And then there's a whole bunch of people that, like Katie David, the guest, and Dan Ryan that have to get them here, right? And get them intertwined into everything, and the trainers to get them their physicals, and the contract people to get them to sign the contract. It's a full-blown process, which is why this is a great team sport, right? And why this is a great organization led by Mr. Laurie. So unbelievable job by the entire building. And Rock and Coach Rock and the players, Sue and Linval, are going to get they're going to get all the credit, but there's a lot of behind the scenes things that are happening too that to even help that, furthermore.
Go ahead, Zach, and then Martin.
Hey, good afternoon, Nick. As you have the benefit of time now, are there any game management or time management decisions that if you had the chance to do over again, you would?
Yeah, obviously we think long and hard about all those decisions that we make, and it's interesting. I say long and hard about all those decisions we make. You only have about 5 seconds to make them in the game, right? So the process of when you make those decisions is throughout the week, and it's not only throughout the week. It's we have two meetings, pardon me, that are devoted just to situational football. And there's more than that, like 2 meetings of just coaches, and then they filter into 2 other meetings with the players. But you have to put yourself through those situations as much as you possibly can in those, whether it's watching all the 4th downs or watching all the 2-minute drives and the situations that lead into the 2-minute drives. And you just try to find, hey, this was a new situation that we saw right here. What will we do in this situation? And it's not just about the meeting time that you spent on, the Indianapolis Colts. It's throughout the league, right? All right, let's look at this decision by this coach in this scenario. What will we do here? So it's a long thought out process and to get yourself to that. And why I say to that too is that I kind of have to make those decisions quickly. I know that. And I know that, and I do know that I'm the head football coach and all those decisions I'm accountable for. And sometimes they're going to work and sometimes they aren't. So what I have to do is be convicted about those decisions. And like I say to you about a play that we run, right? Hey, why did you go for it on 4th down here? Because I trust the players, right? And it's got to be the same thing there, Zach. It's got to be, I'm convicted on this one to take the time out, to try to draw them off sides and take the time out on 4th down. Because of my studies of what I've watched in the past, different things there. And I got to be convicted about that in the moment. If I'm not convicted about that, that's where I have a problem with my decision making. Because I didn't go through the proper channels of getting myself ready to make that call. All those calls that I made yesterday in those decisions, and it's nobody else's decision but mine, all those calls I made yesterday and that decision, I felt like I put myself through the proper channels to do so. I felt like I made the call. Did I make the right call? Did I make the wrong call? I believed in my heart at that time, based off of not blind conviction of going through the process, that I made the right decision in those scenarios. And I get it. Sometimes that's going to work and sometimes that's not going to work. Yesterday, let's talk about the 4th down, right? On 4th and 2. I thought it was better in that scenario to have 2 opportunities to get the 4th and 2 done as opposed to just 1. And what do I mean by that? Try to draw them off sides on 4th and 2. Did we get it? Yes, Goop. That's try number 1. We didn't get that. But then we have another try to get it. It's hard to get inside the 10. All right. So to save the timeout, get the ball back at the 50, potentially, maybe, right? You got to stop them, get the ball back at the 50, and then go and try to get back inside the 10 again. So in my opinion right there, again, it was better for us to have 2 opportunities at 4th and 2 inside the 10. I believe we were on the 9 at the time, than to only have 1. We needed it on our second one. We didn't get them to draw off sides. All right, and then we got it on the second one because of a great play by our offensive line and a great play by Jalen. And it worked out. I get what would happen, right? If we didn't get it, I understand that, and I know what I signed up for. But my point of saying all that, and I probably educated a little bit more than I wanted to. I always try to give you guys an answer, and there is a time for me to not say exactly what went into it. Today, I didn't think that was necessary. I felt like I can answer as much as I possibly can here for you guys to educate to you and the fans what I'm thinking. But I was convicted in that moment, and it wasn't blind conviction, and it worked. And I get the other side of it as well. And there's other things like that go on as well. I didn't feel unprepared in any of those scenarios yesterday because my staff and myself put ourselves through the grind of it, and we'll do the same thing this week to get ourselves ready for Sunday. Rube, that was a long answer.
Go ahead, Martin and then Ed.
Nick, I think I'm getting a sense of why your meetings are so long.
Rube.
You got long questions too.
Rube, that was an outstanding, quick-witted comeback.
All right. Hey, Nick, obviously you don't have to go as long as you did with Zach, but I was curious a couple weeks ago, I think you mentioned that at some point you guys are going to get tested, and obviously you have the last two games. And I was kind of curious, like, what you kind of learned about your team in these last two games, obviously the one you lost and then this one.
Sure. Let's talk about the one that we won today, yesterday. Anytime you get a win on the road or you got a scratch, claw, and fight, it's a great character builder for your team. Anytime that your back's against the wall and you got to fight out of it, it's a great character builder for your team. You feel like no matter, because you've been in all these different spots, down early, down late, up big, like you feel like, hey, we've been here before, because mindset is such an important part of this thing, right? Mindset is a huge part of this thing, that you feel like it's next play mentality. We're in the moment of where we are here because we've been in all these scenarios. We know how to win in all these scenarios. And so, that's what the positive, of course you don't want to win you win by double digits. And I think for a little bit we were up 2 scores in every game we played prior to the last game, which I'm not sure I've ever been a part of before in the first 8 games of the year. But I think when you have to win like that and it's got to be grimy and gritty, I think that's kind of who we are. We're nasty. We're physical. That's the type of team we are. We had to win that way. Not that we haven't had to win that way with our style of play, but we had to win that way with our mentality yesterday, which is only going to build character and build who you are as a football team.
We'll take 2 more here. Go ahead, Ed, and then Josh.
Yeah. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Ed.
I want to ask you about Jalen Hurts. He ran 16 times. I think it's the most rushes he had since Arizona. And I haven't watched the game again, but it didn't seem like there were a lot of off-script rushes for him. Like there seemed to be more designed runs. Was that something, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but was that something you saw that you could take advantage of against the Colts?
It definitely was more design runs than it has been in the past. Again, you're always trying to do what you think's best to put yourself in a position. There's some of their defensive line techniques, obviously you're always trying to put them in the best possible position you can. And so, you look at the way they're playing their defensive line techniques. You look at the way they're playing their coverage techniques. You look at the way they're playing their coverages, all these different things, right? And you try to put them in the best position. Like the plays that we were calling yesterday, we felt going into the game we're going to be successful. That's why we called them, right? And it happened to be some of those things that we were doing with Jalen. So, and sometimes you go through the game too, and you build confidence in a call and you call it again, right? And so it's a little bit, hey, your game plan, what's working in the game, and we just felt like right there at those times, especially in that last drive, like, in the last drive, it was kind of what happened, right? We went from a 2-minute drive, right? Boom, we got that big penalty, and now you're you're more in normal football there, right? Where you're just playing ball. So sometimes the situation of the game dictates that. Sometimes, obviously, what you see on tape dictates that, and then how the game's going and the way you're seeing it and adjusting to it on the field dictates that.
Go ahead, Josh.
Hey, Nick, you briefly touched on, or not briefly, but you touched on Sue and Joseph's process getting here. But yesterday you expressed excitement and wanting to see how Joseph specifically graded out. Could you provide your staff's review on the tape from his performance yesterday?
We thought that the entire defensive line played really well. So obviously those 2 guys played really well. And it was exciting to see that, and it felt like all the plays that we felt were splash or play of the game plays, type caliber plays, had something to do with that defensive line. And so it was all of them. Sue and Linval, they both played really outstanding games, and it was great to get them going and get in here and make an immediate impact. I think that's what we were all hoping for. And they did, and that speaks to the type of players they are, the types of pros they are, the types of teammates they are, and look forward to continuing to get them in and mixing them into an already really outstanding defensive line that I think a lot of teams in this league would be salivating to have. And I'm just happy that I'm the head coach here, and they're on the Eagles team.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thanks, everybody.